Welcome to Topic Tuesday.
I was waiting for that. So, first off, sorry for the bad hair day. I can't find my hairbrush anywhere.
I have no more bad hair days. Ha ha ha!
Um, so today's topic is going to be on social transition, what it's like, things that we've learned, etc. Um, so yeah, we started a little bit with our last stream, and I figured this would be a pretty good continuation of that and just how it's been and what it's really like to socially transition. Especially because from the transphobic side, we see a lot of anti-trans hate where they claim that socially transition brings a ton of stigma and a ton of other stuff. And I have personally met several people who pretend to be transgender people who then become detransitioners in an effort to, yeah, I guess, demoralize people. Now, let me be clear, these are not people that are trans and become, detransitioners. Being detransitioner, detransitioning does not make you a fake trans person. It doesn't,
It doesn't even mean you weren't trans at some point. Gender and sexuality is fluid. Sometimes it changes.
Right. I'm talking about people that are pretending to be trans and then are pretending to detransition in order to
Dis delegitimize, I guess.
yeah,
Them
kind of like how you see like white conservative men pretend to be people of color online all the time, which is very fun whenever you catch them in the lie.
Or certain men also pretending to be feminists online to make feminism seem crazy, even though it's not.
Right? Okay, so I'm gonna be combing my hair throughout the stream using my fingers because I can.
She's got mermaid hair. She might as well.
Right? So, Abby, I figure let's start with your social transition. Why did you pick to socially transition?
Um, I like my social transition has kind of been in three different tiers. Because like when I talked about it last week, I mentioned my transition with my family, which was a forced outing and stuff like that, because they found my testosterone.
Mm-hmm.
However, with my friends and like my actually social group, the people I hang out with, um, I'd kind of always strived to like be honest quickly about it. Because I kind of had this idea of like, one, I don't like lying by admission or lying by omission, which it can get into that territory sometimes, depending on all that. And also, I kind of viewed coming out to like newer friends as sort of a vetting process. Like, see how y'all deal with this. See how if like you're going to be a decent friend after that.
Yeah.
And most of my friends that like most of the people I've like befriended come from the con circuit, and so they were already at least some level of queer.
Now, to clarify, con circuit means convention, not convict.
Yes, not no no what's it? No like cons in the sense of lies,
Right?
but cons in the sense of like a bunch of nerds meeting up in a couple of buildings to talk about nerd stuff.
Right. Um, okay. So, what made you decide to finally start socially transitioning? And, I do need to preface that the reason I am asking these questions as if it is a real choice is because there are some individuals in the world who, due to various factors, cannot pursue transition, such as those in the Middle East where they would be putting their lives in direct jeopardy. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, for me it was the sense of I don't like not telling people about myself. I don't like being a black box,
Yeah.
as it were. I don't like um I am a very open person, regardless. That's just kind of my nature. I had to learn how to have boundaries. That's what my main thing in therapy is how to have boundaries and not tell everybody everything. And it was kind of like against my nature to not. And I realized like Arkansas in general, like as especially like just vaguely in the south of the USA, can be very homophobic and transphobic and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But the particular city we live in is pretty open, and I kind of like had this sense of like here especially is a bit of a safe place to transition, uh, and that like I kind of I used my brother as a test run a little bit.
Will you elaborate on that?
And that like we had a bit of an argument and he kind of figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
And he ended up being a lot more chill with it than I expected. And that was kind of like a bit where I was like, oh, so my brother is kind of one of the worst people I know, but he's still fine with it. Like he's a hateful person, but in this instance he's not being hateful.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of like maybe I won't get as much backlash as I'm fearing.
Okay. That's very valid. So, what was it like coming out to your family? I'm gonna mute this for a sec because I gotta cough hard. And we're back.
Uh, excuse me. Ooh. For the most part, like I said, I was outed to my family where
Mhm.
they like they found my mother found my testosterone supplies and basically had a confrontation with me about it. And vis-a-vis that, told my stepdad James about it. Um, but I was the one who told my grandma Lily.
Yeah.
No, step grandma. But there's some weirdness in how much I consider her to be a grandmother there. But
Yeah.
But like I was the one who told her because this was as my mom was kicking me out because she's the one who did react really poorly to it. It's like at first she was trying to be okay with it, but then when Bryn started using my proper pronoun, she freaked out and kicked me out of the house.
Yeah. I remember that one time whenever I used her pronouns, and instead of her viewing it as me trying to respect you, she viewed it as me trying to disrespect her.
Yeah. She was like, "Why did Bryn emphasize he?" Is like
Because I had been accidentally using the wrong pronouns and stuff, and I wanted to make it known that I was aware that I fucked up.
Yeah.
And I also didn't want to make a big deal about it.
yeah. It was just like she. Oh no, he. Like that was literally it. His like, and for the next day it was like his stuff or his yada yada, and mom gets so angry she just literally leaves our house. Like she stomps out because we'd already bought this house, but it wasn't livable yet. And we didn't have any of our stuff here really. And like it was only a few days later that she kicked me out. Like after this big huge argument that I talked about last stream with me, mom, and my brother over Christmas dinner. So I have some Christmas related trauma now. That's fun. But
Yeah.
the thing is, like, I've told Lily as I was moving out, and like she's this little old lady. She is at like 90. She is, and she's kind of expected to. Her family, like the ladies in her family, live pretty long, so like there's kind of this like she's gonna outlive some of us. She's gonna make it to 120 or something.
Yeah.
But like she's this little lady, and she was like actually very accepting and like very nice about it, and like she said, oh, you know, that's a shame about my mom kicking me out, not about me being trans. And like very specifically like told me was like it's so rude when parents do that. It's so like cruel when parents do that. parents don't accept their kids. And like there was an interesting like Christmas conversation, like the next Christmas, because the next Christmas was in the pandemic, so it was much smaller. By necessity, it just was like the immediate family,
Right.
and like she like kind of went out of or not really went out of her way. That would but like she made a couple of pointed comments
Hmm.
about it, um, like vague enough that mom like couldn't 100% be like she's targeting me.
I will say that I do really like Lily. The handful of times that I've met her, she seemed very fun.
Yeah, she's like a very nice, like she's a doddering old lady. She's great. Like she still is tries to remain pretty active relatively. She gambles and she paints and she's got all sorts of hobbies and fun stuff. She's not the reason part of the reason we think she's gonna make it to be 100 and whatever is like she's like, oh, I have such limited mobility, but like I got all these hobbies.
She is keeping her body uh prepared. Yeah.
Yeah. And she's a very smart woman. I love her.
Okay. What would you Okay, so I don't know if you've really outed yourself at work yet.
I haven't. I've elected to stay in the closet for work for right now.
Hmm.
Partly because I've worked there for 4 years, but I don't anticipate myself working there for too much longer. I kind of have this like sense of it being ready for a career change at some point, and we've had this conversation before because
Yeah.
work drives me insane sometimes.
Yeah.
Um, though cutting my hair did help a little bit because it cut down on the customer misgendering, which is
Mhm.
just kind of a low key thing in the back of my head that kills me every day. Um, like again, I'm still not out to anybody, but people read me as male who don't know me, and so that helps.
Which is fantastic. I'm going to talk a little bit about my social transition. So, before I came out at work, which I was kind of low key forced out at work, I did come out to you and I came out to my friend group, and they started to use she, her pronouns. But before I started actually using them, I actually asked y'all to hold off on using them until I had started HRT and stuff, if you remember. Um, the reason I did that is having individuals use feminine pronouns for me while I wasn't on HRT, while I didn't look anything like a woman, while I had this big old beard and everything. Like, it caused a very intense sense of dysphoria. And on top of that, it made me feel like I was faking it, and it just caused a extreme amount of depression. But they were extremely helpful, they were very nice. Some of my friend group did kind of fall away, and like it wasn't anyone too important, to be honest. It was just after I came out on Facebook, and some of my friends were like, "Oh, this is too weird. You've done a lot of stuff over the years. Oh, don't you remember this YouTube video that you made several years ago where you were like, no, I'm definitely 100% not trans while wearing women's clothing in the video?" It's like, yeah, I remember that. I was very afraid of being trans and what would happen if I got found out, so I made the video. I remember that very well.
Sometimes you're wrong about things.
Right? So that was fun. Now, whenever I got outed at work, it was actually a combination of a couple of things. One is I decided to tell a couple of coworkers, basically. Because what I wanted to do was I wanted to come out to my friend group, then at work, and then so long as I would be able to keep my job and career, I would come out to my family. Because even though at the time, I didn't really have any connection to my family, my parents did occasionally offer support if I really needed it. Um, so I actually got outed at work. I told one of my coworkers, and, I was just telling them in confident. And then I told a couple other coworkers that I also thought I could trust. And I don't know which one of them told. I don't know which one of them outed it. But I go home, and then I come in a few days later whenever it's my next shift, and suddenly everyone is coming up to me like, "Hey, I heard that you're trans. Is that true? Do you want me to use she her pronouns? Do you want me to use they them? Are you really trans? What's that like? Hey, how does transition work? What's HRT work? Are you going to get the big surgery? Do you still have a penis?" Like, yeah, that was incredibly invasive and made me very uncomfortable, and I had a minor breakdown in the locker room. Yeah, it was interesting. There were several people that were significantly not okay with it. Um, and something that was actually ironic is it kind of started a small civil war. Because there were some individuals that were very, very supportive, and some individuals that were very, very anti-trans. And then there were some people that were like, well, it's not really my issue, not really this or that, and I don't really have an opinion. Everyone can do what they want, live and let live. Everyone has an opinion. And so, of course, given time, they sided more and more and more with the people that were anti-trans, because that's how that works. That's why it's so important to have an opinion and make that opinion known and take firm stances on things. Well, some of these individuals actually made some transphobic comments and made comments about how, like, oh, they don't want me in the women's changing room and all this other stuff and how weird it would be, and oh, I can always tell a trans person from a non-trans. Meanwhile, I found out that 3 of my coworkers are trans, and that they transitioned way before they started working at the hospital. And no one knew they were trans, and they've been using the changing rooms just fine. Which was amazing. I'm not gonna out them, period. But, yeah, I had these 3 individuals come up to me, reveal to me that they were trans, show me pre-transition pictures of them, and offer me support and validation, and being like, hey, we got your back. If there's any way we can help, just let us know. We love you. You got this. And so that helped a lot. In addition to that, my director is incredibly supportive. She's very nice, very intelligent, as has my department's HR head. And yeah, I've actually had several of the leaders of my department, such as my director, offer me support, the HR head. I've had some of the other women that work up there, they actually work together to gather clothes that they can no longer wear because it either doesn't fit or the style is just way out of line now that they're older, stuff like that. And they've given it to me. So whereas pre-transition, I had 4 or 5 pairs of pants and maybe 3 or 4 shirts and then a handful sets of boxers and socks. Now I got a closet so full of clothes, I've had to buy new hangers twice. I got underwear that I constantly lose it in the wash and stuff like that because there's just so much laundry now. And yeah, it's great. It's been fantastic just receiving this level of support from, all of them. We did have one individual who went on kind of a transphobic tirade against me whenever someone approached him and asked about me. They asked, oh, some people call them Bryn, some people call them this other name, some people say she, some people say they, some people say he. What's going on with this person? What do we say? And he got very upset at this and went on a small tirade about trans people. And then that tirade became pretty focused about me in general. And it didn't really work out well for him because, word got around what had happened and how much of a creep he was. We're not going to say his name on stream for legal purposes.
We're not going to dox this man, even though he's an
Oh, we don't need to dox him. I know where he is.
So, I know, but, but not to the greater internet.
Right. Hello, Wisconsin. Anyway. Yeah, he went on this tirade. he went on this tirade, and it kind of got out that he went on this tirade, and a lot of people just really stopped wanting to be around him. They stopped talking to him whenever it wasn't purely business related. And I guess this work environment where no one really wanted to be around him, especially the women. Like, that's something funny is most of the anti-trans stuff has come from the guys I work with, whereas almost every woman that I've worked with, upon finding out, is incredibly supportive. And I've just experienced this intense level of, you had a good word for it. Feminine camaraderie?
Yeah. Yeah, feminine, like, sisterhood.
Yeah, a sisterhood. It's just been this incredible sisterhood where, like, it's just open support without any strings attached. And I love it, you know? Especially the handful of times that, like, things were going on and I got walked to my car. Like, having these people who I never asked to do this just come in a little bit early or stay a little bit late just so that they could casually walk me to my car and we just talk and stuff. Like, I've never felt more connected. And, you know, I want to help these people. I've started bringing in food to them, leaving them little cards and notes around the OR, leaving them, like, little, hey, today might be rough, but you got this, you know? Like, it's been great, really. I never had that as a guy. Like, the fraternity was a lot more about, it was a penis measuring contest, that's all it was.
It's about doing dumb stuff until you're king dumb.
Right. And a lot of the, like, help that was given out and stuff like that whenever I was a guy wasn't being done out of the goodness of one's heart. It was done in order to show off masculinity. Like, oh, you need help doing this? Oh, let me come help you. I got a big truck. I got this. And it's like, okay, can you just not... Please?
It's like, there are obviously exceptions. There are dudes who are like...
Right? Like Michael on the server. Great freaking guy. Love him.
And his whole, like, oh, I got a truck thing wasn't, oh, I'm flexing. It's like, you got a truck? Or you got a need? I got a truck? Let's do this.
Right. And Michael, by the way, if you're on the server, if you're a trans dude, I will just straight up... Everything okay?
Oh, there's some weird stuff floating in here. I was gonna take a drink.
If you're a trans dude and you're on the server and you would like a example of good, healthy masculinity, please reach out to Michael. He is just such an amazing guy. And he really exemplifies a non-toxic masculinity combined with the confidence to live yourself authentically. Like, I've never seen a guy pull off a fedora and silk dragon hat while calling himself a meme lord, while also legitimately being an amazing feminist and LGBT ally, and just insanely fun to be around. And just so full of real inner strength. He is great.
He's got the personality of a golden retriever.
He does, in the best possible way. But yeah, anyway. This individual decided that the workplace was simply far too toxic and intolerant for him to be in. And so he left. I know.
That's one way to fix this. The intolerance of the environment.
Right? But yeah, he left, and since then, things have become very chill. And most people are extremely, at least accepting. They may not be the most supportive, but they are accepting, and they don't make a fuss about me anymore. Which I will say was the worst part about transition. Socially. Because I've only been on hormones almost a year, and most of the real changes won't start until the 2 to 2.5 year mark for me. So, yeah. Most of the people that aren't supportive are at least accepting, and they don't make a fuss about me, and that fuss was honestly one of the worst parts. Just having so many people argue over me, have people, like, bring me and drag me into debates, having to live as if I was some kind of, like, expert on trans identity and sexual identity and all these other nuanced things, and it's like, honey, I have a high school degree. You are supposed to have a master's. Can we not? You're a doctor. I will say that there are some remnants. For instance, if there is a patient that is trans, even if I'm not the one who is supposed to be getting patients that day, I will be asked to go and get the patient because they don't want to say anything wrong. Usually they're not transphobic about it. They are coming from a place of, like, honest, oh, I don't want to make the patient feel uncomfortable. Occasionally there is some transphobia mixed in because there's this thing called overplaying, where you pretend something is a lot worse than it is in order to justify your thing. Like, oh, I don't want to go get this trans patient because I'm afraid I'm going to say something wrong and then I'm going to get canceled and I'm going to get fired and I'll never be able to work in the medical field again. All because I accidentally used the wrong pronoun. And it's like, that's not how any of it works. They know it. We know it. It's just a form of transphobia, It's a way to get sympathy. It's like a child pretending to cry, that way they can get a toy. It's just manipulation. Most of the time it's not that. But if there is a trans patient, I'm probably going to be the one sent after to retrieve them. In addition to that, I am often treated like the person, even before transition, I was the, like, mom/dad friend. People would just come to me for advice. But now, especially, anytime anyone has a kid who is even slightly out of the gender norm, they will come to me to ask me questions. And it's just like, just sit down and talk to your kid. I don't know your kid. Okay? Just sit down and talk to your kid.
Despite what some people think, we don't have a hive mind.
We don't. I wish we did. That would make everything a lot easier. What was the hardest part of socially transitioning for you?
Probably, like, getting up, like, the courage to do it in the first place.
Yeah.
Because it's like, after that initial hurdle, at least for me, everything seemed a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
Partly because, like, I'd already, like, like, I have personality of, I tell people, like I said, I tell people basically everything. And so, like, if I give people a new piece of information, most of them assume I've given them all of the information I have. So I didn't get as many of the, like, weird questions. Though my brother did ask some really dumb ones.
Yeah.
Of, like, do you still consider yourself biologically female? I was like,
it's like, that's not really a question. Like,
mostly, yeah.
Yeah, like, I'm biologically a dude. Medical science hasn't reached that far. It's definitely on its way, which is awesome. But, like, one, sex and gender are different. Two, I don't have a ton of bottom dysphoria, but I definitely am enjoying having tits.
I also think it would be interesting to get, like, one of those, like, tests that shows your chromosomes and stuff.
Yeah.
Because, like, there's so many people who have, like, some sort of genetic funk going on. And, like, that's not, like, in the sense of, like, bad. It's just the sense of, like, huh, that's interesting.
Right?
And I think, like, if more people got those sort of tests, and were aware that, like, oh, yeah, weird variations are just a thing that happens.
Right. And chromosomes aren't as simple as XXXY. That's not how biology works.
There's also triple X, XXY.
Right.
Like, one that's just X.
DNA, biology, etc. It's not simple black and white, always the same. If it was, we'd all look the same, and there would be no evolution. That's not how any of this works.
Yeah.
Variance happens. Watch Loki.
right?
Sorry.
But yeah. So see, he was really the only one who asked me really stupid questions. Thing.
Um,
Oh, though actually no, my mom did ask me a couple really stupid ones.
yeah, do you want to share?
But you dated a guy.
And?
It's like, a mother, you know gay people exist. And I've already told you about how I got into that relationship because I am asexual and I wanted to feel normal, and he was a person who was interested in me.
Jesus.
And how I regret getting into that relationship because it wasn't healthy. And because I did not actually love him like a romantic partner.
I still find it wild that she liked your relationship with him, but still somehow hates ours.
Right? It's like she did like hate him a little bit, but in the sense of like he's taking up your time. Or like caught us cuddling on the couch and got real mad about it for no reason. Like yelling that we should have woken her up at some point or something. Like it made no sense.
Right.
She's just a narcissist. That's her thing.
If only she knew that sometimes you and I sleep in the same bed.
Right? And it's just because warm and cuddles.
Right. It is platonic, non-sexual, non-romantic.
And it honestly, it means all of the cats are gonna sleep on the same bed too.
Which is awesome. Hi. Cat cuddle pile is amazing.
Because usually the cats split between our beds.
I think that... Because I haven't touched on transitioning to my family yet, because it's kind of a big deal for me. And for those who don't know, my brother has recently joined the server. Hi, TJ. And he's been very supportive, which I'm very surprised of. No offense if you're watching this. So that's something I'm going to tackle here in a minute, towards the end of the stream. But at work, I think the stupidest questions I ever got was, one, people coming up and randomly asking me if I'm going to get bottom surgery. Like, thank you, that is not any of your concern.
That's not your business.
People that think they're a lot closer to me than they are, asking me how that makes sex work. And it's like, again, that's none of your business. Like, if the other person can consent, they're interested in me and I'm interested in them,
life finds a way.
We'll find a way. That's all you need to know. Okay? 2 consenting adults, bedroom. That's it. That's all I need. Well, 2 consenting... Well, I mean, the more the merrier. But yeah, as long, if you really like someone, and especially if you really care about and love them, you'll find a way to enjoy yourself with them. That's all there is to it. Like, yeah, shut up, phone. I actually should probably look at this real quick. But I think one of the other things that happened that was really kind of stupid, I remember there was this new person who came to work and was introduced to me. And something that has started happening, which I greatly dislike, is at work I'm starting to pass more and more like a girl. Especially now that I'm working on my voice a lot more, and my voice sounds more like this, and it sounds less like this, which doesn't sound feminine at all. Something that started happening is people, when they introduce me, is they will tell this random person that I'm trans. Which makes me very uncomfortable. Like, there's a new guy, he was introduced to me, and they were like, oh yeah, this is Bryn, she used to be a dude, it's really cool. And I'm just like, can you not do that, please? And then the same coworker was like, yeah, she used to be a dude, you should have seen what she used to look like, she used to have this giant beard and weigh over 300 pounds. Yo, Bryn, can you pull up a pic, please? Oh, never mind, I found one. And then he proceeds to pull up a picture from my Facebook of pre-transition me, and it's like, can you not, please?
Private at some point.
Right? Or like there's another new coworker and she came up to me, we're talking, everything's going great, everything's fine. And then we're in a room cleaning and it's really quiet. And then suddenly she looks over at me and she says, "Hey, so whenever they told me to come find you, they told me that you're trans." I'm like, "Did they know?" She's like, "Yeah. I just want to know what that's like." And it's like, oh god. Okay, ask your questions. Fine. So that's been fun. And there was... One sec.
Do you talk about what?
Thank you. Hi, there's legal things I gotta dance around. I don't have to. I'm afraid of, like, saying something wrong. Because I know people dox me, like, it happens every other week. It's fine. It's kind of fun, honestly. Hi.
Because we don't really have much time. We're like, hello.
Right? And I've made some really cool friends that way. Like, hi, Wilbur. That's been pretty cool. Check out deadclaw.com. But yeah, I had this one coworker who found out I have a girlfriend. And he comes up to me, and in a room full of people, he goes, "Oh, you have a girlfriend? So is she, like, a real woman, or is she a trans woman?" And everyone just kind of stops for a second and looks at me like, "Oh god, what?" And I look at him, and I'm like, "She's a woman." "Okay, but, like, is she a trans woman, or is she, like, a woman? "She is a woman." "Okay, but, like, okay, no, listen.
It's like the word you're looking for is cis, my dude.
I am a woman. She is a woman. We are both real women. And this is where the conversation ends." And he was like, "Oh, okay." And then later on, he approached me to apologize, and it's become a minor thing, but it's getting sorted out. But that happened. So that was fun. Have you had any, like, weird things happen at work?
I haven't really. Because again, it's like the people.
You haven't, yeah.
Cause all my coworkers are just like, oh, a masculine chick, and all of like the customers are either, oh, also a masculine chick, or oh, a feminine dude. And because of the nature of customers and coworkers, never the twain shall truly meet.
Right.
Like I'll get like someone will chase me down, like, sir, but like then my coworkers are like, hey, I know, like, use my name or whatever. And I'm still on the fence if I'm actually going to change it or not. Fun fact, Abigail's technically a unisex name. It just hasn't been used like that. And
Right.
I'm bringing it back.
Which, by the way, I am filling out the paperwork and getting my name change officiated very soon, so that's gonna be freaking awesome! That was really dorky. Hi. I've never fist pumped before. I wanted to do it at least once. Shut up.
I think it's cute, though.
Ah! I forgot what I was about to say. Right, okay, so what it was like transitioning with my family. So, to those of my family that watch my streams and uploads, I just want to say, breathe. You don't have to defend me. I get it. We're cool. Unless you're like one of the people I talk about, in which case we're not cool and you need to call me. Because I'm definitely not calling you. I got other stuff I gotta do. I gotta get pills today. I gotta play video games.
It's way more important.
But yeah, whenever I first came out, I came out to my mom and dad, and Abby was actually present. I wrote up this letter detailing what I was feeling, how long I've been feeling it for. I detailed some of my earliest suicide attempts, like some of the ones from even before I went to live with my grandparents. Yeah, which I was very young whenever I went to live with them. It detailed what to expect, why I was doing it, the steps I'm taking, how just because I'm changing doesn't mean that I hate them or like any of this other stuff, how I still want to be in their life. At first, I thought they took it well. You know, there's a lot of crying, there were a lot of honest questions asked, stuff like that.
Her mom was a little bit of a bitch, but excuse my language.
Hi, Mom. Um, but yeah. No, you're totally right. Like, Mom, if you ever watch this, you are currently, at the time of this recording, the year of our Lord, the 14th of August.
No, September.
It's September?
Yeah.
Shit. I work medical during a pandemic, okay?
Months mean nothing.
Months mean nothing. The 14th of September, year of our Lord, 2021. Yeah. Hi. Yeah, you are currently being a little bit of a bitch. Love you.
If you ever improve.
Right? Like, I pay my own mortgage and stuff. Yeah, I came out to them, and there was some crying and stuff like that. My dad seems to accept me. He tries to use my right pronouns, he uses my right name. You know, he doesn't really bring it up, though. And whenever I do force the topic, which I do occasionally, in order to talk about my mom, he tries not to take sides, but he does err to the side of, I am valid and I deserve to live as I want. Whereas my mom is very distraught by the fact that I'm changing my name, which originally I wasn't going to change my last name. I was on the fence about it because I was pretty ashamed of my family because, like, I had been partially disowned whenever I first came out as a teenager as LGBT. And even then, at the time, though my mom knew about my gender problems, she didn't tell anyone in the family because she was afraid of how they would think about her. So that was another reason I stayed in the closet as long as I did. But I did come out as pan as a teenager, and I did get some pretty nasty phone calls about it. Since this coming out, she has become very upset at the fact that I'm changing my name, especially now that I've decided I am going to be changing my last name, due in large part to her actions. I've decided, since so many members of the family are not okay with this, and so many members of the family are on the fence about it, like, oh, well, you can be who you want to be, but I still think it's wrong, but, you know, hate the sin, not the sinner. That kind of bullshit.
That old chestnut.
It's like, yeah, no, we all know what's really going on here. You're not hating the sin, loving the sinner. The sin, as you call it, isn't a sin, and it is intrinsically part of me. So you can't distinguish the two. This is who I am. You know, if loving me requires me to be someone else, you don't love me. But yeah, I've decided if she's gonna, you know, act this way, if she's gonna do all this other stuff, if my family is, then I guess I'm no longer a Williams, and it's okay for me to go and do my own thing. So my name is soon going to be changed to Brynhilda Ravna Underwood, which I like a lot. And yes, I'll still be just using Bryn, because no one can pronounce Brynhilda, so, yeah. Surprisingly, I came out to my brother, and he was very accepting of it, and he has since become very supportive of it. Which, TJ, again, if you're watching this, hi, thank you, and I love you. Whenever I came out to him, it was actually kind of funny, because, like, my mom has constantly tried moving goalposts in order to get me to not transition. And one of the things that she said was actually, oh, if you transition, you're stealing from your brother, because he wants to have a relationship with his little brother, and so if you transition, you're stealing that from him. You're removing from him the ability to have that relationship, to heal that wound, all this other stuff. And me being me, I was like, oh, is that the case? Cool. I still saved his number after all these years. Hey TJ, I'm on my way to visit you. Is this still your address? I'm on my way. And I showed up and we talked and there was some crying and I just told him everything, my entire life story, basically. And he accepted it, and he's accepted me since. He uses my proper pronouns, my name. He's used me as a teaching point for his kids, being like, this is something that is possible, this is something you can do. She's a woman, she deserves love and respect. Sometimes you're just born a little wonky. That's all it is, you know? So-and-so was born with a defect that makes them grow facial hair, and Bran over here was born with a similar defect, but in a different way. What?
I'm just thinking she was born with the defect of, unfortunately, dick.
Unfortunately, dick. Yeah. So that was fun. My sister Shasha has been rather accepting, so it seems. I don't really talk to her or communicate with her, so I don't know. As for my sister Robin, she's also very much in the camp of hate the sin, not the sinner. So I try to be in her life a bit so that I can be around my niece Gristle, which her actual name is Chrysalin. I just call her Gristle because reasons.
Because it's a cool name.
Most of my younger family is very supportive. My nieces are both very supportive. My nephews that my brother has adopted are very cool. One of my, well, I have two nieces. There are two individuals in my family that are LGBT. One of them is known about by my brother, and the other one I am keeping secret because it's not my place to out her, and she doesn't want to be outed. Because, to quote her, she doesn't want to be spoke about and treated the way that I'm spoke about and treated. Which is really freaking sad. But she is no longer considering suicide, so that's awesome and great. So that's fun. But yeah, a large portion of my family has been very accepting. The ones that aren't accepting are the more middle ground of, well, live and let live, everyone has an opinion, hate the sin, not the sinner. So those ones I'm very cautious of. I'm not really letting into my personal life for obvious reasons. But I'm not completely excluding them either. As for my parents, the last time I interacted with my mom, there was a physical altercation between her and I. I intend to keep my dad in my life, if at all possible, and through him, of course, that will mean interacting with my mom. But as it is, I don't know how that's going to go. It's been difficult, and it may be in my best mental health interest to let her know if she's going to continue on this way. You know, if she doesn't want to be my mom, if she doesn't want to be the mother to me, a trans woman, who is going to live a very happy life as me, then it's okay for her and I to both move on. She's an adult. I'm an adult. You know, I got my own life. I'm 27. Abby and I got a house. I got a car. I got a career. Like, sometimes you just gotta move on and it's okay. It sucks, but that's part of being an adult, you know?
Sometimes you realize your family screwed up and you're like, oh, I'm gonna leave that dumpster fire behind.
And it's actually funny because, like, after I came out to my parents, they of course didn't tell anyone, right? Because my mom is very ashamed of me being LGBT, which, get wrecked. I have a tendency of going from 0 to 100 very quick whenever it comes to doing things. Like, I become very hyper-focused, and I'm like, let's go, let's do the thing right now. So whenever I came out to my family, it wasn't, you know, showing up, being like, hey everyone, okay, I just want you to know I'm trans. Here's some changes. No. Instead, there is a family reunion I found about, and I showed up in full feminine clothing and everything, even though I know I looked like trash. And I just showed up, and I was like, hey everybody, guess what? I'm a chick now. Here's my name. And I got a lot of weird looks and a lot of weird comments and stuff like that. And I just spent the entire time smiling, like, yeah, I know, I'm weird. What are you gonna do about it? You want to go into the yard and fight? Let's go into the yard and fight. I'll leave here with a black eye and I'll be proud of it, even though I probably lost.
You'll see what a stiletto can do to an orbital.
I'm not gonna comment. I love you.
I love you.
But yeah, it's been interesting. I will say that out of all my family, the one that I am most proud to have standing by my side is honestly my brother. If I had to pick between my parents and my brother, I honestly think I'd pick my brother. And the reason for that is, though he and I have very many differences, he has shown a willingness and ability to change based on new information, facts, new knowledge, and stuff like that. And that is something that I don't see in my parents and that I don't see in others. And whereas my parents are my parents, and I love them, and of course want them in my life, my brother actually has kids, you know? So I'd rather be in those kids' lives, that way they can have support. And that way I can let them grow up seeing me and seeing that it's okay to be queer. And that's actually something that I am very full of pride with right now about my brother, is he knows about my niece now being bi. Or, well, having bisexual tendencies and being attracted to women. And his response was to let her know that he is still proud of her and that it's okay if she's bi. And he and I actually talked about him and her coming with Abby and I to Pride next year, which Abby and I agreed sounds pretty cool and we're really looking forward to it. So I'm very happy to have him in my life. So that's fun. Mom, if you're watching this, rip.
This could be you.
I mean, she made a comment about, like, what is it she said? She said, she feels like I'm sending her to an early grave. And I responded, die quieter. Or be quieter about it. Something like that. Either way, she got really upset and made me leave. She was like, I know you only visit once a month, but you need to leave. It's like, okay, fine. That was good, though. So yeah, social transition is very, very tough. I've learned that you should always pregame it. Like, before coming out to someone, talk to them about transgender, well, let's broaden the spectrum to general LGBT stuff, but talk to them about, you know, LGBT stuff. Say you're bi, bring up bisexual issues, like, oh, there's a lot of bi erasure, you know, there's a lot of this stuff going on, you know, talk to them about it, see how they respond, and that will give you a good precursor as to the kind of person they are and how they will respond to you whenever you come out. In addition to that, don't be afraid to live your life as who you are. I know I'm saying that from a place of privilege as a generic white chick living in, you know, the South who owns a house with her partner, living the cottagecore lifestyle. But...
4 cats.
And 4 cats. But, like, I love you, and you deserve happiness. And if we can lay down the groundwork so that people who come after us have an easier time, that's worth the effort, I believe. That's one of the reasons why I made Tran. If I can be that point for other people where they can see what I've gone through, and I can serve as an example of how to do things, and they can learn from my mistakes, that's worth it. I want them to stand on my shoulders and reach far further than I ever could. I want them to make me look stupid because of how smart they become. I want them to do better than I could ever dream of. You know, I think that's what the future deserves. Okay, tangent done. Mom mode deactivating. Hi. What about you, Abby? Any closing remarks?
Uh, yes, when people are acting like fools, remember that it's their problem, their behavior. It's not to do with you.
Right?
You may have been, quote unquote, the catalyst, but it's their behavior. They are choosing to behave like jerks. And you don't have to put up with it if you don't want. You're trying to steal your boy back.
Yes. Do you want to make the announcement? So we have an announcement.
Yes.
So Abby and I have been working hard for the last month and a half creating new ideas, and at the moment, it's mostly the same like stuff, but on a whole bunch of or the same images, but on a whole bunch of different stuff. But
we do have a store that we just opened.
And we are launching it later today. And we will be linking to that in the chat, or not in the chat, in the server. And from now on, you will be able to find that merch store in the description of my YouTube videos. It will be found on my Twitch bio. I'm going to put it on my Instagram. So yeah, like you're going to find this everywhere. Please feel free to buy from us. It helps out a lot. We intend to make not just trans-focused stuff, but LGBT-focused stuff in general, but a lot of it will be trans-related.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's amazing. And someone actually got the first set of merch today. I'm not going to say who it was because it's up to her if she wants to, or they want to share it or not, but yeah, it's freaking awesome, and I'm looking forward to it. Every item that you buy goes to support us and to support Tran and what we're doing. I'm hoping, because all I need is one more cable to get my GPU set up, and then my Twitch streaming, I'll be able to do a lot better at it. And I'm hoping that I'll be able to take some of the proceeds from this store, because Abby and I are going to be dividing up the profit, because he's doing a large portion of the work. Of course, he's freaking amazing.
I don't have any design degrees, but I do like design.
But my share of the proceeds, I'm going to be saving up, just like I am from my Patreon proceeds, and I hope to hire a video editor at some point for at least one video. And I hope to start working on those video essays sometime this year, hopefully. And from there, I hope that we can grow even more. Y'all are freaking amazing. I've loved doing this. I know my audience is still very small, but y'all, I have to say, this has been a trip. Like, I love Tran. I love doing this Twitch stuff. I've loved every single moment of this. I know it's not the highest quality yet, but thank you so much for your patience and your support. Y'all are amazing, and I love you.
And this is more server specific, but there's a couple of designs that we need to focus group to make sure that they're going to be land properly. There's a couple of designs that are a bit spicy.
Right. So if you want to test out some of these designs for us and give us your opinions and you're on the server, let us know. I am going to be making this announcement on the server itself as well. So y'all are getting the first heads up. And later on, whenever I make the announcement, it's going to have a link to the store too. So with that being said, I love you. Make sure that you eat and drink today. And please do your best to have a good day. Just know that I'm proud of you and you've got this, okay?
Pet a cat. If you're allergic to cats, pet a dog. If you're allergic to both, find something to pet.
An axolotl.
An axolotl.